Welcome back to Just Made It Simple, the channel where we take the big stuff from the Bible in the classroom and we shrink it down until even your little sister gets it. I'm your host, and today is one of those episodes where I need you to sit all the way down because we are going deep. But first, I need to ask you something personal. Do you have a best friend? Like a real best friend? The kind you can text at midnight when something scary happens. The kind who knows your embarrassing stories and still hangs out with you at school. The kind who, if you went a whole week without talking to them, they'd show up at your front door like, did I do something wrong? Now imagine this. You have that best friend. They're loyal. They're always there. They genuinely love you. But you just stop talking to them. No texts, no calls, no, hey, how are you? Nothing. What happens to that friendship? It dies, slowly, quietly, painfully. It just fades away. Not because they stopped caring, but because you stopped showing up. Here's the thing. That's exactly what happens with our relationship with God when we stop praying. Prayer isn't some fancy religious ritual for people who wear suits and carry big Bibles. Prayer is a conversation. It's how you and God stay best friends. It's how the relationship breathes. And today, we are going to meet 3 people from the Bible who understood this better than almost anyone who ever lived. People who prayed so consistently, so boldly, so beautifully that history itself was changed because of their conversations with God. Their names? Daniel, Enoch, and Moses. We're calling them the prayer warriors. And by the end of this video, I promise you, your prayer life will never look the same. Before we meet our 3 prayer warriors, we need to get one thing clear. Prayer is not a decoration for religious people. Prayer is not a hobby. Prayer is not something you do only when life is falling apart. Prayer is life. Ellen White said it beautifully. Prayer is the breath of the soul. That means prayer is not extra. It is oxygen. It is how the inside of us stays alive. Think about breathing. You do it all day. You do it when you're working, driving, cooking, studying, parenting, worrying, and trying to keep everything together. You don't stop breathing when the day gets busy. In fact, when the pressure rises, breathing matters even more. That's what prayer is supposed to be like, not a last resort, a daily rhythm. And that's why Daniel matters so much. Daniel was not a man who prayed only when trouble came. He was a man who had already built a life with God before trouble arrived. So when trouble came, he didn't have to invent a prayer life. He already had one. Now, let's go back to Babylon. Daniel was young when he was taken far from home. He was carried into a foreign land, away from family, away from the temple, away from everything familiar. That kind of pain can make a person bitter. It can make a person silent. It can make a person forget who they are. But Daniel did not forget. He kept talking to God. And that matters for adults, too, because many of us are living in our own Babylon. We're surrounded by pressure, deadlines, bills, family problems, work stress, health concerns, quiet disappointment. Some people are carrying things they never talk about. Some are smiling in public and breaking down in private. Daniel teaches us that prayer is not weakness. Prayer is what keeps you steady when life is shaking. Then came the dream crisis. King Nebuchadnezzar had a dream, but he forgot it. He demanded that the wise men tell him both the dream and the meaning. No human being could do that. The men were terrified, and the king responded with a death decree. Daniel was included in that sentence. Imagine hearing that your life is on the line because of someone else's problem. Imagine being accused by a system you didn't create. Imagine no power, no protection, no escape. What did Daniel do? He prayed.
He didn't explode. He didn't fake confidence. He didn't run around trying to fix it in human strength. He gathered his friends, and they begged God for mercy. That's a lesson for adults under pressure. Before you panic, pray. Before you post, before you argue, before you make a decision in anger, pray. God answered Daniel, and the dream was revealed. Then Daniel did something even more important. He praised God. He gave the credit back to heaven. He didn't say, "I'm brilliant." He said, in effect, God is the one who gives wisdom. That's the heart of a prayer warrior. Ask boldly, receive humbly, praise quickly. Because prayer doesn't just help you survive the crisis. Prayer changes who you become in the crisis. Daniel was not only preserved, he was shaped. Warrior reflection. When pressure rises in your life, do you reach for panic first or prayer first?
Now let us go to Daniel 6, because this is where the real test begins. Daniel is older now. He is no longer a young captive trying to survive. He is a trusted leader in a powerful kingdom. He is doing his work well. He is honest. He is disciplined. He is so faithful that his enemies cannot find a single fault in him. So they do what evil people always do when they cannot find dirt. They attack your habits. They know Daniel prays, so they convince the king to sign a law that says for 30 days nobody may pray to any god except the king. Anyone who disobeys will be thrown into the lion's den. Think about that. A law designed to punish prayer. And what does Daniel do when he hears it? He goes home, he kneels down, he opens his window, and he prays. That is not fear. That is faith. Daniel did not make a speech first. He did not start a campaign. He did not hide in shame. He simply did what he always did. That phrase matters, as was his custom. In other words, when the crisis came, Daniel did not become spiritual. He already was spiritual. This is a huge message for adults, because many of us say we will pray when life gets calmer. We say we will get serious with God when the job settles down, when the children calm down, when the business improves, when the marriage gets better, when the money is less tight. But Daniel shows us that prayer is not something you delay until life is easy. Prayer is how you survive life when it is not easy. His window was open. That matters too. Daniel was not sneaking around in fear. He was not pretending. He was not hiding his faith like it was something embarrassing. His open window said, "My loyalty to God is not private when the world is trying to silence it." And when the lion's den came, God was there. The lions were shut. Daniel was preserved, and the king, who had tried to be the highest authority in the land, ended up speaking honor to the God of Daniel. One praying man changed a kingdom. That is what prayer does. It reaches farther than your bedroom, farther than your family, farther than your own life. Prayer has public power. I need to be direct with you. Daniel's enemies didn't just want to distract him. They wanted to silence him and close his window forever. Right now, Just Made It Simple is facing that same breaking point. Between production costs and technical hurdles, we are at a place where this mission might actually die. I cannot stand in this gap alone anymore. Whether you are watching from New York, London, Manila, or part of the mission in Africa, we are a global family, and I need you to feel the weight of this moment. We aren't looking for corporate sponsors. We're looking for you. Whether it is $10, £5, 500 pesos, or 100 shillings, every single gift is the breath that keeps this channel alive for an adult who needs the Bible made simple. If this ministry has fed your soul, please don't wait. Click the link in the description right now. Your partnership is the only thing keeping our window open today. We are working to win this together, but only if we stand together. Thank you for being the friends who hold up our arms. Now, let's move from Daniel's crisis to Enoch's quiet, daily walk. Warrior reflection. If this mission died tomorrow, what would be lost in your walk? Are you standing in the gap to keep it alive? Enoch is one of the most peaceful stories in the Bible, but do not let the quietness fool you. His story is powerful. Genesis says, Enoch walked with God. That is not a small sentence. That is a full life. What does it mean to walk with God? It means you are not rushing ahead of Him with pride. You are not lagging behind in fear. You are moving with Him, step by step, day by day, talking as you go. Enoch lived in a dark world. People were turning away from God. Violence was spreading. Hearts were hard. The world was not safe, not clean, and not spiritually healthy. That sounds familiar, does it not? Many adults are living in a dark world too. The pressure is real. The noise is real. The temptation is real. The exhaustion is real. Some people are trying to raise children in a confused world. Some are trying to stay honest at work. Some are trying not to lose their peace in the middle of constant demands. Enoch teaches us that you do not need a perfect world to walk with God. You need a decision. Ellen White wrote that Enoch remained in close communion with God, and that the busier he became, the more earnest his prayers were. That is powerful for adults. Most adults say, I am too busy to pray. Enoch says, because I am busy, I must pray. Prayer is not a luxury for the free time crowd. Prayer is fuel for people with real lives, real responsibilities, and real stress. Maybe you are raising children and trying to stay patient. Maybe you are working long hours and still coming home tired. Maybe you are caring for someone sick. Maybe your mind is full and your peace is low. Enoch teaches that you can walk with God in all of that. You can pray in the car. You can pray while cooking. You can pray during a quiet moment at work. You can pray while walking to the store. You can pray while sitting in your room before the house gets busy. Walking with God is not about location. It is about communion. And there is another beautiful thing about Enoch. People could see that something was different about him. He carried the peace of heaven. That is what a prayer life does. It changes the inside, and the inside begins to show on the outside. Enoch did not just survive a bad world, he lived differently in it. And in the end, the Bible says he was not, for God took him. Almost as if God said, you've been walking with me so long that I will just bring you home. That's the kind of life many of us need now. Not a dramatic life, a faithful one. Not a loud life, a walking one. Warrior reflection. Is your prayer life only for emergencies, or is it the walk that carries your whole day? Now we come to Moses. If Daniel shows us steady prayer, and Enoch shows us daily walking with God, Moses shows us something deeper. Prayer for other people. The Bible calls this intercession. That is a big word, but the idea is simple. It means standing in the gap for someone else. It means saying, do not only look at them, look at me standing with them. Moses knew how to do this. He started as a prince in Egypt, then became a fugitive, then a shepherd in the wilderness. At 80 years old, God called him from a burning bush and sent him back to rescue Israel. From that moment on, Moses lived in constant conversation with God. And the most powerful moments in Moses' life were not just about miracles, they were about mercy. Take the golden calf incident. While Moses was on the mountain receiving God's law, the people below were worshiping an idol. They had turned away from God almost immediately. God told Moses he could destroy them and start over. But Moses stepped in. He pleaded for the people. He even said, in effect, if you will not forgive them, then blot me out too. That is stunning. Moses was willing to stand between judgment and rebellion. That is not weak prayer. That is strong prayer. That is the prayer of a person who knows the heart of God. Then, in Exodus 33, Moses said something every adult should remember. If your presence does not go with us, do not bring us up from here. That is wisdom. Moses was not chasing blessings only, he was chasing the presence of God. And that's where many adults get confused. We want the job, the money, the house, the answer, the relief. But Moses teaches us to ask a deeper question. God, are you with me? Because the presence of God matters more than the place you arrive at. Prayer also changes how we treat people. Moses prayed for Aaron, even after Aaron helped lead the people into sin. Moses prayed for Miriam, even after she spoke against him. Moses did not let hurt become hardness. That is real spiritual maturity. It's easy to pray for people we love. It's harder to pray for people who disappointed us. It's hardest to pray for people who hurt us publicly. But Moses shows us the way. And that is exactly what many adults need. Families get strained, work relationships get tense, people say things they should not say, brothers and sisters fall out, parents and children misunderstand each other. Churches can even become places of pressure. Moses teaches us to stand in the gap instead of stepping back in bitterness.
Now, let us ask a practical question. Does posture matter when we pray? The Bible shows many kinds of prayer posture: kneeling, standing, sitting, lying face down. The main point is not the position of the body. The main point is the position of the heart. But posture can help us. When we kneel, we remember that God is greater. When we sit quietly, we slow down enough to listen. When we stand, we may be expressing readiness. When we bow low, we may be showing surrender. So the body can help the soul. And here is a simple challenge. For 1 week, try kneeling when you pray. Not because God cannot hear you otherwise, He can, but because your body sometimes helps your heart focus. If you cannot kneel, God understands. What matters is that you come honestly. Now, let us bring the whole message home with 5 simple habits you can carry into adult life. First, pray specifically. Not just, Lord bless me, but Lord thank you for this exact thing. Second, pray daily, morning and evening. Make prayer part of the rhythm of your life. Third, pray with hope. Let your prayers point toward God's promises, not just your problems. Fourth, find your prayer place. Even a small corner can become holy when you keep showing up there. Fifth, pray for others, your family, your church, your colleagues, your enemies, your community. Because prayer is not only about getting something from God, prayer is about becoming more like God. Daniel shows us courage. Enoch shows us closeness. Moses shows us compassion. That is the life of a prayer warrior. And here is the good news. You do not have to be famous to live this way. You do not have to be perfect. You do not have to be a preacher. You do not have to be old. You do not have to have all the answers. You just have to begin. The same God who heard Daniel in the lion's den, walked with Enoch in a dark world, and answered Moses on the mountain is still hearing prayers today. So open your window, walk with God, pray for others, stand in the gap, and keep going. Warrior reflection. Who in your life needs you to stop talking about them and start praying for them? Today, we met 3 prayer warriors. Daniel, steady under pressure; Enoch, faithful in daily walking; Moses, bold in intercession. And the lesson for us is simple. Prayer is not just for Bible heroes. It is for real people with real stress, real family needs, real work pressure, and real spiritual battles. So this week, don't just hear the message, live it. Pray like Daniel, walk like Enoch, intercede like Moses. And remember, the breath of the soul is prayer. I will see you in the next episode. Until then, keep your window open.